Camera on standby. Spencer, are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Spen, are you sure you shouldn't actually be here?
Oh, I've decided to have a duvet day. Don't worry. No one will even notice I'm not really there. Run the titles.
This week, Click goes on the search of a true out-of-body experience as we meet the people who can project themselves into the bodies of robots. Oh, and I did drag myself out of bed, so don't panic, I am here. We'll also have a sneak peek at some of the upcoming titles that are getting video gamers all steamed up. Just how much do anti-aging creams really work? We come face to face with the machine that puts them to the test. All that plus the latest tech news, and all aboard! This week's Webscape will send you hurtling across Japan at 300 miles an hour. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. For a long time, Telepresence was a technology that was reserved for the boardrooms of big multinational companies, where the president would sit at a desk on one continent and discuss the business of the day with execs at a desk on another. These days, of course, we're all used to having video chats with our friends, but here's the twist. If you combine that technology with robotics, you're on the way to creating true telepresence, allowing you to physically be somewhere that you're not. We asked Sumi Das to make a very special house call in California.
Hi, I'm Grady. And this is my Grady bot.
For 2 months last year, Grady Hoffman lived vicariously through this robot. In the spring of 2012, Grady, then 8 years old, was told he needed a bone marrow transplant and that afterwards he'd be confined to a small isolation room in a hospital. A dreaded sentence for a young boy who prefers mucking about with his 2 older brothers. But a family friend convinced Silicon Valley company Anybots to loan Grady a QB, one of their telepresence robots, which the family dubbed GradyBot.
I was happy, really happy.
Why?
Because I knew I can be home, but I wasn't actually home.
Cameras on the QB served as Grady's eyes, a microphone and speakers as his ears.
And that person in that remote location through their browser can see what that robot's seeing and can hear what that robot's hearing. So they can talk to people in the remote location.
From the hospital, Grady remotely navigated the 2-wheeled self-balancing robot around the Hoffman home.
We'd sit at the table, and then we took away Grady's chair and put the robot next to the dinner table, and so he would eat his lunch in the dinner in the hospital, and we'd eat our dinner at the table, and he could be with us.
GradyBot joined his brothers for pre-bedtime gabs, visited his classmates at school, celebrated his brother's birthday, and endured the usual sibling torment.
It was kind of fun, but yet weird. It was more fun to have Grady on the robot. So then if we got annoyed, we just turned him off. He finally had a mute button.
They may tease, but the Hoffman clan, especially Mum Amy, realized the GradyBot was a bright spot during a difficult time.
It was just a nice way to stay connected, and I think when you're going through something like transplant that takes so long, it just is, the power of the human connection is just so, it's so important in the healing process.
The boys agree the QB was easy and fun to use, though they did suggest one improvement.
I don't know how you'd make it, but arms would be awesome on the robot.
We had a suggestion too. While demoing the device, we noticed occasional connection hiccups, which compromised the experience.
The internet's plenty fast. Our server's in Austin, and we drive all over the world going to and from Austin. But it's that last mile where you have to get from the access point in the building to us via Wi-Fi that sometimes is the problem.
Hey Joe, how you doing?
Still, the technology is proving that robots are good for more than just dull deeds nobody else wants to do. and the robotic telepresence market is quickly becoming more crowded. There's the Beam from Suitable Technologies, the Manterobot, the Vigo, and others. This is likely welcome news for megalomaniacs who can finally set about assembling their very own robot army. Not convinced? Oh, all right. Here are some practical uses then. Doctors can make virtual house calls. Students can pursue remote learning opportunities. Employees could save on travel expenses and send robots to pop into a colleague's cubicle or roll over to a meeting. A built-in laser can even help them make a point. No shortage of uses for robotic telepresence, but you may come up short on cash. The QB, for example, costs $10,000.
But telepresence doesn't have to cost a small fortune. Say hello to the Double. Or should I say, my Double?
The Double runs $2,000. Like the QB, it's a two-wheeled self-balancing robot, but instead of integrated cameras and speakers, it uses an iPad, which, as you might have guessed, isn't included.
It has gyros, it has accelerometers to sense where it's going and if it's tilting forwards and backwards, and of course it has motors.
The lower price opens doors for some interesting uses. Imagine visiting an art collection halfway around the world.
It's great for giving museum tours. It could be an additional revenue generator because you could have people visiting the museums even after hours.
Double Robotics suggests that parents could keep an eye on their kids.
Of course, the crafty kids will figure out how to outsmart the technology. 13-year-old me would just lock this babysitting bot in the closet. Bye, Mom.
Because robotic telepresence is a relative newbie in the tech world, every device has its shortcomings and its strengths. The height of the QB must be changed manually, but on the Double, it can be adjusted on the app with a button. The Double is lightweight, but less robust than the sturdy QB. And of course, none of them can overcome a common obstacle: stairs. But given the potential, it might be best not to abandon these bots anytime soon.
Sumi Das in California. Okay, next up, look at this week's tech news.
The United States Navy has shot down a drone aircraft using a laser in a recent test. The weapon dubbed LAWS, or Laser Weapon System, is powered by electricity, with the US Navy stating it can cost as little as $1 to fire. It's been designed to destroy fast-moving missiles, as well as aeroplanes and small naval vessels. While testing of the system continues, a US congressional report has raised concerns about the potential that it could accidentally hit satellites or aircraft. Its effectiveness could also be reduced by poor weather. Sticking with lasers, physicists at Edinburgh's Heriot-Watt University have developed a technique using them that can scan an object in 3D. It can detect objects from as far away as 1 kilometre. The system works by bouncing lasers off distant objects and measuring the time it takes for the light to travel back to a detector. It works with inanimate objects like cars, but because the beam can't reflect properly off skin, it's not terribly accurate when it comes to scanning people. The technology could be used to track an object's speed and direction from a considerable distance away. A speed camera you can't even see, perhaps. Paying to message someone who's not your friend on Facebook may be a step closer. Now, a trial in America has been extended to 3 million Facebook users in the UK. The social network won't reveal the new sliding scale of charges, but it's thought to start at around $1, rising to around $15 depending on how popular and how many friends they have. Facebook says the charge is to deliver your message into the person's inbox, rather than the default other or spam folder. And finally, a congregation in England has made a church first after swapping their leather-bound hymn books for plastic-backed tablets. The Wi-Fi connected touch tabs were used to show text and songs as part of a special service in St John's Church in Derby. And books weren't the only thing left on the pew. One partially sighted parishioner ditched his magnifying glass for the day in favour of the tablet's pinch and zoom.
Now, the next generation of video games consoles may be just around the corner, but there's still life in the old PS3 and Xbox 360. Tried and tested characters are still appearing in new games for both systems. We've already had a new outing for Tomb Raider's Lara Croft. Steady on there. And soon, fans of the sneaky stealth action series Metal Gear Solid will see the rough, tough and fairly gruff Solid Snake return to current gen consoles.
The brains behind the Metal Gear Solid series, Hideo Kojima, used the recent Games Developer Conference in San Francisco to showcase a trailer for the 5th Metal Gear title, dubbed The Phantom Pain. Yeah, I've had one of those. Snake will now strut that sneaky stuff in an open-world environment. It's all graphically very impressive and suggests that the last drops of computational grunt are about to be squeezed from the PS3 and the 360.
And just a couple of days later, Electronic Arts showed off gameplay from the 4th instalment of its popular first-person shooter series, Battlefield.
While online multiplayer games which allow the player to dispatch total strangers online remain popular, the latest instalment of Battlefield attempts to bring that frantic anything-can-happen style of gameplay to the single-player campaign mode.
Speed up, Red. Dun's going into shock.
A lofty ambition, but with a brand new physics engine and graphics that look very pretty indeed. Running on a PC with a graphics card which we suspect is as big as your car, the game's developers DICE might just pull this one off.
Let's face it, most of us wouldn't mind looking a few years younger. So it's no wonder that the world spends bucket loads of cash every year on so-called anti-aging products, despite the fact that the only reliable anti-aging product I've ever seen involves being frozen in carbonite. But whether you trust them or not, there is fierce competition between brands, and a lot of technology goes into researching and creating new skincare products. Lara Lewington has been to Paris for her close-up.
Collagen boosters, antioxidants, retinol, pentapeptides, glycolic acid. Anti-aging remedies tend to contain a lot of ingredients that most of us don't really know or understand. Some sold by consultants dressed as scientists, others promoted by impossibly flawless images and impressively optimistic success rates. Yet short of freezing your face with injectables, the search for the miracle product continues.
Well, I've tried my fair share, but like many on their quest for eternal youth, I'm yet to find a product that makes time, but not my facial muscles, stand still.
So to find out exactly what lies behind the marketing spin, I'm off to the beauty capital of the world. L'Oréal's Paris laboratory is home to Lancôme, YSL, Keriskin and more. Behind these usually closed doors lives the technology driving the latest generation of skincare. Decades of research have been put into the products here. Secretive, competitive, the skincare market is bigger than ever, and it's not just women who'd like to turn back time. Although there is some cynicism surrounding what anti-aging creams are capable of, there is real science behind them. Molecular biology, to be specific.
We know it's very important in cosmetical field to know the skin as much as possible. Every aspect, morphology, color, change on the face, movement of the volume, everything, to be able to assess the efficacy as much as possible in every detail of the face, and after to have the global appreciation.
So I guess a volunteer is needed, but
Well, if I'm about to be shot in HD without makeup, this machinery had better tell me something interesting about my skin. Okay, all done.
The chromosphere is used to gain what is known as an acquisition, a high-resolution picture of the face. It looks at lines and wrinkles, as well as taking a measure of skin colour. This is not only of relevance for creating makeup, but also the testing of anti-aging creams. The shade of the skin evolves through our lifetimes, so represents part of the aging process. Over time, a multi-ethnic database has been collected as different ethnicities age in different ways. On placing the face in the dome, 360-degree lighting allows a true shadow-free analysis of the skin. The high-quality camera's recording is transferred to the computer software, where we can zoom in to frightening levels on every little line and dot of pigmentation. So when you hear mention of clinical trials, well, this is one method used to test the efficacy of a product by analysing a person's skin both before and after using it. Another is the fringe machine, used to precisely measure the imperfections on the skin's surface. By projecting vertical rays of blue light onto the face whilst a microscopic camera looks on, the computer's software translates this into a 3D image. It works by recording the amount of light that hits the skin's surface. So areas of shadow are created by the presence of lines or wrinkles, with variation dependent on depth. Yet we must be realistic about what these creams, lotions and potions are capable of.
Skin aging is a very relevant component of facial aging in general, but there are other aspects involved, which include loss of the subcutaneous fat, interactions with muscular movement, as well as loss of the underlying bony skeleton. So facial aging in general, the skin component is only a part of the picture. And even the best anti-aging cream is not going to address changes occurring at deeper levels.
The market for skincare remains undented by this reality check though, with the high street also offering some in-depth skin analysis. This dermo-analyzer helps the consultant prescribe the most suitable products. Firstly, the probe's high-definition sensor takes hydration readings of the skin. Then, an 8-megapixel camera evaluates the surface using morphing technology to, rather excitingly, suggest the visible age. OK, the machine did give me a skin age of 22, over a decade out. Not sure if I'm flattered or just questioning its accuracy. As well as measuring the skin's oiliness, it can look at sun damage by detecting over-pigmented cells. Whilst these may not be as detailed as those back in the labs, no matter how precise the science of analysing our skin becomes, the ideal that these creams promote can sometimes feel tantalisingly out of reach. And that may be because sleep patterns, diet and genetics, amongst so many other things, all influence the way that we look on any given day.
Another flawless performance from Lara Lewington. Of course, here on Click, we don't actually need skincare products because we have digital makeup. Well, maybe just a touch too much there. Anyway, let's move on. At the end of last year, Japan unveiled the first of a new generation of high-speed magnetic levitation trains which can run at more than 310 miles an hour. And Kate Russell's managed to get a taste of what it might feel like to be at the helm of one of those beasts, because she starts this week's Webscape with, and I never thought I'd hear myself say this, a Japanese train driving simulator.
Who didn't wish they were a train driver as a kid? Make that dream come true with a selection of train simulators at realrailway.com. There are a good selection of routes to suit various different connection speeds. The graphics aren't that amazing for the online versions, but there are free download options too if you want a smoother ride, but you are going to have to download them in Japanese. This makes a refreshing change from the fleet of flight sims that have become popular online. Controlling your train is a lot easier than being in charge of an aircraft, and let's face it, it's not that hard to stay on a railway track. Forwards, backwards, how hard can it be? So you can just relax and enjoy the scenery. That said, unless you're on passenger mode, you're going to have to make it to the stations on schedule and stop on target to let off passengers, which is more fiddly than you'd expect, as you have to stop within a few metres of the mark without overrunning. Then just wait until you're signalled to move off again. If you usually try to avoid train journeys, you might well be a home worker. GoToMeeting is a good platform for holding meetings in the cloud, with up to 25 people connecting in audio or 6 on HD video. Free from any Mac, PC, iPad, phone or Android device. Now, this isn't actually a totally free service though. The host will have to pay eventually, but it's reasonably priced and very reliable if you're a small business.
Didn't you say you were off to China? Fancy meeting you here. Yes.
The free trial lasts 30 days, which should be plenty for you to figure out if it's going to be any use to your business or not. After that, there is a paid monthly subscription. So if you want to video conference for home or personal use, you might be better off with something like Oovo that we looked at back in February. Oovo's free to use. There's Google Hangouts too. Each has its own merits, but having tried all these services, I've definitely had the highest quality results with GoToMeeting, but it comes at a price. As well as being able to record the meeting, you can also share your screen or hand over control to an attendee. So it's really good for working collaboratively. With the Easter holidays behind us, it's time to start planning revision, otherwise you'll be cramming for those exams. ExamPal is a smartphone app that's on Apple's iOS right now but arriving imminently to Android and contains exam dates for UK, US and worldwide students to help you plan and schedule your studies so you're ready for those exams. Revising for your exams can be a daunting experience. This app takes the pressure right off by letting you plan your workload months in advance rather than waiting till the last moment to cram it all in once you get your exam timetables from your teachers. The app syncs to popular online calendar apps and has access to key revision tips as well as homework alerts and countdown timers to the various D-days on your timetable. And parents can keep an eye on the deadlines too by sharing an iCal or Google Calendar schedule. I showed you an amazing app for iPhone back in 2010 that was made by Microsoft, Photosynth. It's easily one of the best photo apps I've ever seen on any phone, but believe it or not, Microsoft have only just released it on their own platforms, Windows Phone 7 and 8. Now this app makes taking full 360-degree images as easy as looking around you. You don't even need to tap any buttons. Just move the camera to a new position and the app will capture another bit of your surroundings, blending the edges seamlessly together. Images can be posted to the Photosynth website for sharing, which is worth taking a stroll around anyway for the latest amazing landscapes that people have been uploading.
Kate Russell's Webscape, and don't forget all of those links are available at our website if you missed them. Here are the details you need: bbc.co.uk/click, the address of the website, click at bbc.co.uk, the email address if you'd like to contact us about anything that you've seen today. We are also available on Twitter, Facebook and Google+. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching and we'll see you next time.